Almost halfway through the upper bracket. Feels so weird to say it, as there's only 3 matches that will be played out today. The good news is there is opportunity once again in the lower bracket for the bottom 25 duos that do not make it out of this upper bracket to the grand finals. And it looks like Sato and Alex are not going to be going for the quick engagement off the start.
Nah, it's too risky, especially when it's consistency and you went down early in game 1, weren't really able to garner any points. And it's not the same scenario as yesterday where we saw a team at the very bottom of the leaderboard win and advance to the grand finals on NA side of things, and clearly similar on EU. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what type of game they have here to pick themselves back up, because we've already seen a Victory Royale move players so far up the point threshold in terms of estimations that you got to imagine there's some players that are smooth sailing the rest of the day.
Axe falls for Bob. In the yacht now. It's not a time for a vacation. You're in game 2 of your last chance here in the upper bracket to make grand finals. Last chance, last day, I would say. As Astral, Art Skill, also going for a safer drop here. Seeing what they can do.
Just kind of split looting it. Free shields towards the top. That's going to allow them to say all those bigs, Flowberry Fizz, and minis. So, interesting decision for them to land so far away from a lot of other material, a lot of other loot, but it's about part of their game plan, and there's a launch pad not too far away from them, so they continue moving forward. And I think that sound you just made is perfect for the moment as we tune into Blaha. He just looks like has literally only scraps, a Nemesis AR, a shield fish, missing HP and shield overall, but he's hoping with the team that disengaged away from him is going to buy him enough time that he can not only loot up, but get his teammate back into it.
The players doing anything they can to stay up. Even if it's surviving with a gray AR, no teammate, and just trying to make something happen. 49 duos still up, 93 players. You can see the pressure that is on for everybody competing here today. And it's just going to make it that much more difficult to get to the late game.
Yeah, Misha and Teeny, they're a team that it comes and goes. It finds its strides. They landed here yesterday, Grand Glacier. Contested throughout the day, whether it was Vena or Tayson or some of those other teams that moved away when they eventually got that win. So they're no strangers to this off-spawn fight. They already have 1 elimination, so that made it that much easier for them as they continue to look for a solo. You and I know, and everybody else at home knows, that solo disengaged. You can see him on the mini-map, but better safe than sorry for Misha and Teeny.
For Astral, though, you can see now the engagement has came through. Art Skill. Astral are going to be up on top, but it looks like they just want to get these elims. It could even be worth it in a lobby this stacked to just go for an engagement, because if you end up getting these elims, it's going to help you significantly with the damage that you have to do. So all you have to do is win that 1-2v2.
Just win right now. It is 2 full duos here. 1 more on the outskirts. And then we talked about that solo not too long ago that's still trying to survive there on the edge. Astral and Artskill are separated, but they're no strangers to aggression. Putting up a ton of eliminations in game 1. It's almost Robound and Axe Force that I feel like have to be careful in this fight, which is saying a lot, because it's usually me saying the opposite as Astro goes in, gets the piece control. Quick defense and disengage coming out of Axe Force and Robound. This is not the best place to fight. Some of those walls are going to be unbreakable, and already you're seeing it start off. Artskill doing the right thing, keeping his position on the high ground, but with the separation that they have, all it takes is 1 second. One decision being made by Axe Force and Robound to try to full rush into the box, and that could be it.
Almost got the roof through the vents now down below. Axe Force is stuck. The engagement commences as now both players taking shards, but Artskill is going to be the one that gets knocked down. Astral now forced into a 1 versus 2 situation, but Rabob and Axe Force do not have a lot of HP to work with.
This is exactly what I was scared of. I thought it was going to happen the other way around, but they try to jump into the box. Artskill just gets trapped, and 2v1, not enough damage coming out of Astral. So he's forced to disengage, play on the back foot. Flowberry Fizz is going to get the shields. The HP is going to get granted as well with a couple of med kits on the low ground. So I thought this was a tough spot to be in before, and it got even harder for Astral.
Good news is he does have 175 effective HP, but is it going to be enough to eliminate both players? He gets one more to go, unable to secure it. Rabab not safe yet as another duo has entered.
That's Vocal and Vortexers. I saw them on the side, but I didn't think they were going to disrupt the fight on the boat. Over towards the yacht. Now Roban's by himself. They already got one team down and out. They got his teammate eliminated. And now they're just completely pushing forward. And the more he moves down low to the low ground, he's either going to get cut off by the vault or cut off by Vortexers right above him.
You can see the launch pad as well. Has been boxed up, thinking ahead. But this situation for Raban is not the one that you want to be in.
He was hot on the heels, chasing, making him expend so many materials to get out of here. But he did a quick cut back to the other side. Vault's there, trapping him off. Exit. Tries to go around to try to find some safety. But they pre-coned it on the other side, and finally he's able to find some sort of escape. A Vocal and Vortexers. It's set up as a short pad, so he's still on the yacht. It's like a scary movie where you're stuck at sea. Roban can't escape.
He keeps running. Will he be able to make it out as Vortexers now is gonna end his marathon and secure those extra 2 little eliminations?
That was such great awareness from Vocal and Vortexers to kind of block off the pad on one side early on. They saw that the other one was blocked off due to the earlier fight, and they knew he wasn't able to escape that whole time. So they stayed aggressive, and it paid off. They get 2 eliminations out of that exchange on a couple different players. That's going to give them 8 points to start this game off.
Building up to see if they can find any duos close by. Get a few extra tags, but let's see what's happening out of the ocean. As Seti is being chased by Noah and his duo partner, trying to swim away. I'm not sure how that ended up. It looks like Seti still is on the run now with only 24 HP. Does have some minis, does have a couple med kits, but it's gonna be so difficult, Jacob.
Yeah, this is not what you want to have happen from one of the more consistent teams throughout the last couple of years. They started this one in 6th place with 60 points, which it's actually a good amount of confidence that you're building. But with Cammy going down, with 45 teams still alive, it's going to cause some disturbance here. But Seti doing a good job escaping. There's not too many teams around. He's going to be able to refarm where he needs it. But you can see a lot of his material is going to be stacked up already. So for Seti, it's just about buying time. There's a ton of time on that reboot card, so eventually, we've seen him before, and we'll see it again. He's going to go back, trying to bring Cammy back into this game.
Mongrel Savage now looking a bit more isolated compared to the previous match. They do have a lot more materials to work with. They were struggling a bit on that in the first game, but now what we know is they need damage, and that is exactly what they are hunting for.
Yeah, just outside of the bubble. It's only been 1 game so far, so the points are going to shift, of course. But it's got to be a terrible feeling knowing that everything that you were able to do, get your teammate back into the game, give yourself a chance, went right out the window. But you got to have like a pitcher's mentality. You got to be able to forget in the next inning, or in this case, the next game. The Savage and Mongrel looking to get aggressive on the Vocal and Vortexers, who already have their eliminations and their surge up until this point.
Making sure to not get overly aggressive, as also third zone has appeared. They do kind of have the positional advantage. For King and FaZe are in a similar situation here. As they make their way on into zone, they finish with their loot path. They've started on the rotate. The question is, do they have that surge path? Where do they want to base up here? What do they want to do? What's the plan to deal that damage?
Yeah, I'm really interested to kind of continue to follow their story. If they can just continue to make it to these end games and handle their storm surge. The Bevy and Pablo versus Darky and Darkus, who fought hard, earned themselves a spot here in our upper bracket round 3. But Bevy and Pablo, they've been fighting tooth and nail all weekend long in the upper bracket side of things to try and advance to the grand finals. Things haven't been working out for them, but if they can pop off here in these next couple of games, 3 total overall, the first you've already seen, they can definitely make all that they fought for and all that stress that they went through worth it.
Said he crouched behind the wall. 3 duos in the area. One of them is a solo. Said he could just look for the 1v1, but what I think he's doing now is just playing it safe. Issue is, if he plays it safe, he's not going to have enough damage when Storm Surge starts ticking. We saw how quickly it commenced. So he really has to kind of take a risk here.
Yeah, and strangely, not really strange, but back to kind of these stack lobbies that we know and love. It was fourth zone. It was fourth zone in that last game where Storm Surge activated and really caused a lot of terrors to some of these teams. So Seti is now officially on the clock. Depending on how much damage he has, the Hydro seems like he's going to be already on the run. Fast Strokey unable to really cover the distance, so he's trying to cause disruptions in a lot of those builds. He did enough to reunite with his teammate. But there's a lot of players positioned around just outside of Snooty Steps that have to make the same rotation in towards the zone.
Grapple Blade being put to good use as the two duos out of zone now. Plan their rotate. Looks like one of them is going to go around the edge, but Strokey is going to capitalize on this situation. Unable to land his shots, though. 133 onto walks. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, good surge. 83 players alive. If it does activate in the fourth zone, it needs to go down to 78 total players, which isn't much. So at this stage of the game, you could potentially out-heal it, but then what heals would you have for later on in the game? 4 teams kind of stacked up on this side of zone, some in, some out toward Fast Strokey and Hydro. They're going to be positioned below that mountain where Kirsten and his duo are at, and that's the team that is going to gatekeep those guys on that side of the map.
Making use here of the pistol, which will lock onto the opponents. We've been seeing it used more and more throughout the matches to get Storm Surge. You said it yourself, Jacob. All the players rotating crash pads, grapple blades, a lot of flying targets that this can help with.
I see where their idea is at. They're on the top of a mountain. They're hoping teams rotate on by, but they're at the edge of zone already. There's not going to be too many opportunities to really utilize that smart pistol. So I want to see them go forward in towards zone. I see Savage and Mongo not too far off from Voco and Vortexers, to where you already know Snooty Steps is in the mini-map. This side of the zone is pretty stacked with a lot of hungry players. And you can see every second that you do spend taking damage in zone, whether you can out-heal it or not, is a second that you can't last at the end of the game playing for those heal-off scenarios. So depending on Mongrel, Savage, who takes more zone, you might have to switch that med kit around when late game comes.
Noah now going to be the first of the duo to get up onto Rift Island, claim it, and secure that extra loot. And not only loot, that positioning as well, an opportunity to refarm up that brick that was used to kind of build the cover. Normally, once you get here very quickly, other duos won't even really try to contest it anymore, but it's a good place to be. You
can see all that farm. Can't get too much metal up here, but brick and wood, that's where you're going to find the most success refarming a lot of this. And we've already seen some sneaky plays of players hiding in the house on Rift Island, trying to push out. You can see them chopping down the floor. Podesai and Snazy far off of the zone. You see how contested one side of the map is. Well, here's the other. You see not too many players positioned around Snazy and Podesai, which is a blessing in some cases, but in this one, it's a curse. They're down on Surge, and Seti's down altogether, trying to fight for him and Cammy. He goes down. So that 6th place start that they had to this game is definitely going to make him fall down the leaderboard with that elimination there with 40 players alive.
They were at 60 points going into this match in 6th place. It's top 25 that makes it to the grand finals after the 3 matches. And all they have left now is the 3rd match of the day, the last match of the upper bracket. Snazy Podesai, though, looking to see if they can find any pickings from the duos that will be rotating late into zone.
They need it. The Surge wasn't necessarily the best last we saw, but at least it's gonna kind of shut off for now. And the next time we see it appear, if players aren't as active as in the next zone, zone 5, that's where it will bring us down to 64 players. And that's something we've seen in the first game. A lot of them suffering, not able to get the damage early on, so they're forced into a position as the game progresses. Marius and Sandguild, you're at the edge of zone where not too many teams are, so you see them moving forward and forward, closer and closer to the center. So that way they can actually have an opportunity to get Surge if they need it.
You can see they're kind of using the mountain here to try and block line of sight. So they only use a couple builds there alongside the rotate. I drop Nebs using the classic strategy of just replacing out buildings to get back the materials you used to take cover here while you wait for the zones to unfold. 0 elims though. Hopefully they have been looking around for damage. They have quite a few duos in the surrounding area, so there is opportunity, especially if they get a bit more elevated.
And you can see as they rotated towards that house, they heard that team position next to them. That was Marius and Sango. See them peeking through the cone. Information. Shots if they can get them. Nothing's going to be able to peek through, but as all that action's going down, Wheat takes down Misha, leaving Teeny by himself. We've seen them both do wonders, rebooting late into some of these games of the past, but can they do it again as Yapko and Blaha a little separated from one another, but this isn't necessarily too strange from what we've seen here. It allows him to cover more ground and get more opportunities for potential shots just like this as he has his eye on Swizzy and Putrick.
Remember how they started? Blaha eliminated Yapko.
Ooh, yeah.
14, I think, 20 HP, gray AR, nothing to work with, and now they are above Storm Surge with mobility, with medkits, with minis, but they're split up. Blaha has been found. They think he's a solo. Yapko quickly going to save his teammate.
Yeah, the time it there takes to get to your teammate could be the difference between getting eliminated, going back to the lobby, and having a successful defense. 170 above the damage threshold as well, which means they don't have to make too many risky peeks. And I asked about Teeny. He has the Grand Glacier, Mythic Enforcer. I should say the Nemesis, but after that, without a teammate, it is going to be tough, especially since he has only bandages. So going back into the zone isn't necessarily going to be the best play from him. Astasi and Podesai finally found a team to get aggressive against. 62, continuously falling. 71, now being infected by Storm Surge itself. This is where they're slowly but surely inching themselves between a rock and a hard place.
62 below. Pressure is on as the ticks come through. Flowberry Fizz pop to get that mobility, but also heal up as now the wall replace comes through. So many duos in the surrounding area, though. You have to be careful here. One little mistake is all it takes to get eliminated as Sky looking for an angle. Put aside Snazy. Both players without shield now, as they could just be 1 or 2 ticks away from going to the lobby.
Yeah, I think Sky and Scroll knows something's up. They know they got to be suffering to Storm Surge, playing very, very defensively, popping a shot when it matters most, drops down on the Podesai, finishes the gentle mate, sends him back to the lobby in anything but gentle fashion.
Huge for Sky and Scroll, though. Now almost 400 above, and one of the most dangerous Storm Surge scenarios. Extra loot, extra mats. Inside of the zone, they could even expand. They don't need to, though. You can see how many builds are there. Maybe up a little bit. Mongrel Savage, not completely good in terms of Surge, but definitely an improvement from last matches. Now they realize they want to get that damage. Mongrel instantly going for a wall, just 4 above. If he could land 1 shot, it could be the savior.
Yeah, this game has been hard for them together, Surge. It's almost like a rotating similar for them. They've been on the go since the beginning of the game, so there's no real opportunity for them to stop, box up, and pop shots like you see so many other teams getting the luxury. So now they're forced into a position like this, down on Surge, rotating, forced to fight up against another team. And you see Savage and Mongo just trying to spray into the box. Gears and Chari trying to play defensive. It's working for now as they continue to fall below the damage threshold. 25 below. It's still 1 play shot, but nobody's giving them the opportunity to land.
Storm Surge active. Now, decision to get inside the box. They do it. Can they come out on top, though, as Mongrel has not been able to connect the shots needed yet. Savage has gone down. Now left as a solo. Gets cracked. More players applying pressure. Just 7 HP to work with. Mongrel has to make a miracle happen.
Yeah, back-to-back games where they're stuck in a position, forced to have a chaotic fight to get the Surge that they need. And it goes and happens again. This time, it's Mongrel who survives instead of Savage. But it just goes to show that their plan, because they're forced to rotate so early and for so long, is just going right out the window. With only 1 game and 1 opportunity left, he has to make the most of the position he's in as a solo.
300 metal Can make a few boxes, but has to go a long ways to make it to zone. Couple shots from the AR is all that it's going to take Mongrel out now. He's kind of rolling the dice here as he rotates, hoping he does not get shot, but there it is. Huge tags onto Hen. It could be enough to put him above. It's 11 above now. All he has to do is make it in.
Yeah, at least now he can rotate up the mountain instead of just following the team and fighting whoever's in front of him, but slowly slips on down. Might be a little blessing in disguise because you saw how stacked that side of the mountain was towards the top. Find some more shots onto Teeny and an elimination because we saw Misha go down early on in this game in the feed. But now he's under pressure, sandwiched between two different teams, top and bottom. He needs a couple seconds here to alleviate the pressure because he's able to find a med kit, but out of builds, out of time. They go down to Harris and Scree.
Not safe yet, though. It looks like they're just on the borderline of zone. I'm not even sure if they're in. It looks like they barely are. Zone has actually pulled pretty well from them. They do have a nice rotate along the right side here. But being 7 below, they knew they just need a few tags. Maria, Sangil, if they need tags as well, they might just take the trade, but it's not even going to be a trade. It's going to be a knock. Now with the advantage, they go for the engagement.
Even with the elimination that they found in the backside of zone, they're still suffering to surge. And you're seeing the huge difference from the weekly qualifiers, even the lower bracket, leading up until these stacked lobbies. On the upper bracket side of things, you have to be able to switch your game plan and your play style at the drop of a hat, because surge right now is the biggest problem throughout the past 2 games.
Surge is annihilating every single duo in this lobby. Kiro Kiduo, even with 2 elims, only 53 above us now. You can see the amount of duos grappling through the field. It looks like a party. All the players flying through.
Ooh, nice little cheeky shot right there. Love the attempt to come out, but finally finds a spot. Still not in zone, though, but they're just trying to stagger themselves, let a lot of the playing field bypass them, and that's going to be Kiduo's job to try to find that safety. Their next rotation calls it out. They're going to be on the move. Shimoki's on the move as well, but he's 38 below the damage threshold. Even with an elimination onto DKS, he still has to figure out what he's going to do to continue to find these shots, especially being under pressure just like that.
24 shield, doesn't have time to pop minis, has to focus on zone, on damage, being a solo as well. You can see the pressure continues being applied by all the duos, seeing these players rotating in late. Andalex close by, stuck below this ridge, does not have a lot of vision on anything at all. But Sato and Andalex, they're looking a lot healthier than the other duos so far.
What a way to make up for going down off spawn in game 1, making it pretty far, but still not far enough. Only a couple teams going down has granted placement points up until this stage. The medallion being passed around, making sure to conserve as many of the heals as possible. The heal, somebody healing off towards the backside of zone. That's going to be Shimoku. We already know he's a solo, and he's taking damage to Storm Surge all on top of that. Uses the med kit. Now the minis are coming out. The continuous heals shows that it's a sign of weakness, and Andalex and Sato are going to take advantage of that fact. Wow.
Huge impact, but they have to continue, Jacob. It just gets more difficult here as Andalex is doing what he can to move on forwards. He's lost his duo partner. He's popping mini after mini, 64 below, and it's going to keep ticking down. Just 40 players up, now 39. Everybody is running around, doing damage, trying just to survive and make it to zone, as Andalex is the next one to be taken out. Kiro Kiduo, though, incredibly healthy. Chemistry is on, full duo, and they continue striking.
And probably one of our most consistent and dangerous duos that is still left in this lobby, and they have their eyes set on his speed. Luckily for him, quick thinking, he gets above and out with that grapple blade to safety, but they're still down 116 below the threshold, but I feel like that's not too much of a worry for them. They stagger themselves once more, and with that, they're going to continue to jump in front of a lot of the teams, and the Flowberry Fizz, the elevation, they're going to have an opportunity to get some shots as soon as they get to the front side.
High ground's elevated, but not incredibly high. They're actually very close to the second height layer, as Kiduo and Kiro still are able to group up together. With so many people in the surrounding area, all they want to do here is get ahead.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. And they did such a great job handling being down on Surge, getting ticked away. Now it's not necessarily going to be a worry for them the rest of the game. It's all about coming out on top. Bevies, Pablo Wingu, backside of zone, staggering themselves just a little bit too long, but that's just so they can get the Flowberry Fizz off and move just like that to the front side of zone. But Bevies, he gets lost along the way. Pablo's stuck by himself. Multiple teams are pressuring all around him. He's just trying to survive.
9 builds. Now looking for that shot. Hits it. It's Sky. Doesn't get the knock. Wasn't robbed. He got it, but he has to go ahead.
Yeah, cannot get that loot. And there goes the high ground opportunity for Noah and Aqua. They're going to go above and over, but they landed a couple shots and the chop comes down. That gives them the confidence to try to maintain it. We've seen it happen throughout the weekend and in game 1 so far. High ground has been winning these games and setting the leaderboard on fire.
Noah and Aqua looking like they're back. Can they close it off? This walks Pixie in the dirt, gets a nice elim, picks up Cherry. Now a bit more materials to bring them forward.
Even a med kit dropping behind, but that's going to be Pixie's job to make sure he finds it. Dandy goes in. It's a huge fight towards the backside of zone. One's going to get dropped. Walks is doing all he can, but there's still so many teams trickling down. He's trying to stay above that low ground layer. You have to try to avoid it, and he's doing such a good job. Backside of zone. Snocks get found, and another shot. Walks lands it. An elimination before going down, but the top 2 situation for Kiro and Kudo.
Kiro has 2 medkits, but no materials. Gets cracked.
No.
Is going to be unable. Heal off denied by Noah, and the double elimination from Aqua, and Noah secures them the victory royale.
They pushed the team off their POI in game 1, uncontested in game 2, and they rode that horse all the way across the finish line. It was almost picture perfect because throughout all that chaos, there was very few times I saw Noah Aqua under distress.
Perfectly executed high ground retake, and now back-to-back matches where we didn't see an insane heal off. In the first one there was a small one, but with all the surge and all the action that's being unfolded throughout the late games, these players are running out of materials so quickly, running out of loot, running out of consumables, that they can't even really try to play the heal off, especially when you have that much aggression from a duo like Noah and Aqua.
And it looked like they're playing a game of peekaboo there on low ground. Noah shoots from one side. It didn't look like Hero knew where it even came from. Aqua drops down to the other, finishes that game off. And I feel like Noah and Aqua going under the radar on the broadcast, but they've definitely earned a huge amount of points and likely got themselves a spot in the grand finals.
Look, that's definitely on my list of things that I love to see, but also there are 3 things that I love to see, and that's Frankie, Levin, and Minnie. So let's see what you got.